Let me share a story that became the defining moment of my life, one that transformed my mindset, reshaped my future, and made me who I am today. At 25 years old, I was living in Idaho, where I was born and raised. I was married, had started a little family, and was working hard, doing my best, but still struggling to pay my bills. One day, there was a knock at the door. It was a young Girl Scout selling Girl Scout cookies. She delivered an incredible presentation explaining that the Girl Scouts were the best organization in the world, that everyone wanted to support them, and that the cookies were only $2. Then, she politely asked me to buy some. I wanted to say yes. The problem? I didn't have $2 in my pocket. I wasn't completely broke, but at that moment, my pockets were empty. Here I was, 25 years old, had attended a year of college, raising a family, living in America, and I didn't even have $2 to my name. I didn't want to admit that, so I did what I thought was the next best thing. I lied. I told her, I've already bought plenty of Girl Scout cookies. We still have some at home. She smiled and said, "Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much," then walked away. As soon as I closed the door, it hit me. I had just lied to a Girl Scout because I couldn't afford $2. That was my wake-up call. That was the moment I said to myself, I refuse to live like this any longer. That day became what I call the day that turns your life around. I made a commitment to change, to find a way to do better. I had always wanted to, but I had never found the right person or the right path. Not long after, I met a man who became my mentor. Over the next 5 years, from age 25 to 30, what he taught me made me a millionaire. He helped me refine my philosophy, develop skills and disciplines I never had before, and completely transform my life. That moment with the Girl Scout was the turning point. It forced me to take full responsibility for my life and seek out the knowledge that would change everything. That decision, made in a moment of embarrassment, became the foundation for my success. If you're ready to change your life, the first step is not outside of you, it's inside of you. The day you accept full responsibility is the day your journey to wealth, success, and happiness begins. If life isn't going the way you want, you have two choices. You can either blame, complain, and stay stuck, or you can take ownership and start climbing. Blame is easy, responsibility is hard. But success never belongs to the ones who take the easy path. I remember a time in my early years when I wasn't making much money, struggling just to get by, and I had every excuse ready. Taxes were too high. My company wasn't paying enough. My circumstances weren't ideal. I had convinced myself that my situation was out of my hands, and then one day a mentor of mine challenged me. He said, "If you don't like how things are, change it. You're not a tree." That line hit me like a ton of bricks. I had spent so much time blaming everything outside of me, I hadn't even considered the fact that I could do something about it. You see, blaming is easy. It requires no effort, no growth. It lets you stay exactly where you are. But responsibility, that's where transformation begins. The moment you say, I'm in charge of my life, a new road opens up. It means if I want more income, I can develop new skills. If I want better relationships, I can become a better communicator. If I want to be healthier, I can change my habits. The power is in my hands. I once met a man who told me he hadn't had a raise in 5 years. 5 years. And he was furious with his boss. So I asked him, have you made yourself more valuable in those 5 years? He looked at me confused. I said, raises don't come because of time served. They come because you bring more value. That was a tough lesson for him, but it's the truth. Instead of blaming his employer, he needed to take responsibility for his own growth. There's a reason why some people rise while others stay stuck. It's mindset. The wealthy don't blame the economy, they adapt. Successful people don't wait for the perfect circumstances, they create opportunities. The moment you shift your focus from external problems to internal solutions, life starts moving in your favor. Of course, there will always be obstacles. People will be unfair. Circumstances will be tough. But the question is, will you let those things control you, or will you take control of your own future? Because here's the truth. When you blame, you hand over your power. When you take responsibility, you take it back. And when you do that, everything changes. If you want things to change, you must change. That was a tough lesson for me in my early years. I used to believe that if only the economy improved, if only my boss gave me a raise, if only the government did something different, then my life would turn around. I was waiting for everything outside of me to change while staying the same myself. But life doesn't work that way. I remember when I was struggling financially, barely getting by, I used to complain about how little I was earning, how unfair my situation was. Then, one day, a mentor looked me in the eye and said, "If you want more, become more." That stopped me in my tracks. He wasn't talking about working harder. He was talking about becoming more valuable. He said, "You don't get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour." And that changed everything for me. That's when I made a decision. If I wanted more income, I had to become the kind of person who could attract more income. If I wanted a better life, I had to develop the skills, the discipline, the mindset to create it. I couldn't just wish for things to get better. I had to get better. So I started reading, learning, attending seminars, studying successful people. I made a commitment to personal growth. And sure enough, as I changed, my circumstances changed. It's a universal principle. If you don't like where you are, don't wait for life to fix it, fix yourself. Because here's what I found. Life responds to the kind of person you become. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. You don't attract success by hoping for it, you attract it by becoming the kind of person who deserves it. I saw this principle in action when I encountered a young girl selling Girl Scout cookies. She knocked on my door and with all the courage she could muster, asked if I'd like to buy a box. But I was broke. Not just low on cash, flat broke. And I had to tell this little girl I couldn't buy her cookies. That was one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. But it was also one of the greatest lessons, because that day I promised myself that would never happen again. That moment forced me to take a hard look at my financial philosophy. I realized my bank account was a direct reflection of my habits, my choices, my way of thinking. If I wanted to change my financial situation, I had to change my philosophy. That's what most people don't understand. Money doesn't just come to those who need it. It comes to those who attract it by becoming valuable. Some people spend their entire lives wishing for more money without ever changing the way they think about it. They blame the system, the economy, their job. But the truth is, wealth isn't about luck. It's about principles. It's about habits. It's about the value you create. That's why some people can go broke and make it all back again, while others win the lottery and lose it all. It's not about the money, it's about the mindset behind it. If you want to know where you'll be financially in 5 years, just look at your philosophy today. Because your bank account is nothing more than a mirror. It reflects what you know, what you do, and how you think. Change that, and everything else follows. That's the real secret. If you want things to change, you must change. If you want to be wealthier, wiser, more successful, don't wait for something outside of you to make it happen. Start with yourself, because once you change, everything else will. Okay, I'm ready to rock this thing. Visionary. Excuses are nothing more than cleverly designed lies we tell ourselves. They sound reasonable, they sound convincing, but in the end, they do nothing but keep us stuck. I remember when I was struggling, I had every excuse in the book. I can't afford it. It's too hard. I don't have time. And every time I repeated these words, I thought I was telling the truth. But one day I realized I wasn't describing reality. I was just giving myself permission to stay where I was. Excuses give us a way out, an escape from responsibility. They let us off the hook. But here's the problem. The moment you accept an excuse, you surrender control. You hand over your power to circumstances instead of taking charge of your own life. I used to say I can't afford it. My mentor stopped me and said, don't say that. Instead, ask yourself, how can I afford it? That shift in thinking changed everything. Because the moment you stop using excuses, you start looking for solutions. I once knew a man who told me he had no time to learn, no time to read, but then I asked him, how much TV do you watch? He hesitated. The truth was, he had time. He was just spending it in ways that weren't moving him forward. Most people don't lack time, money, or ability. They lack urgency, discipline, and the willingness to break free from their own limitations. If you want to succeed, stop lying to yourself. Stop saying you don't have time and start making time. Stop saying you don't have the money and start developing the skills to earn it. Stop saying it's too hard and start asking how you can get better. The real battle is not against others, it's against who you were yesterday. Too often people spend their lives measuring themselves against someone else. They compare their wealth, their success, their progress, and if they feel behind, they get discouraged. But the only person you should compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. There was a time in my life when I looked at successful people and felt overwhelmed. They were too far ahead, and I thought, how could I ever catch up? But then I realized success isn't a race against others. It's a commitment to getting better, one day at a time. The question is never, am I as good as someone else? The real question is, am I better than I was last week? A man once told me he wanted to be wealthy, but he felt stuck because he wasn't as smart as the people around him. I asked him, did you read a book this week? He said, no. I said, then start there. Because the truth is, you don't have to be the smartest, the richest, or the most talented. You just have to keep improving. If yesterday you made 5 calls, today make 6. If yesterday you saved $5, today save 10. If yesterday you read 10 pages, today read 20. Small improvements, consistently applied, lead to extraordinary results. People get discouraged because they think progress should be immediate. But success is a game of inches, not miles. If you just improve 1% every day, in a year, you'll be 37 times better than you were before. That's the power of small daily wins. The real question is this: are you growing? Are you better today than you were yesterday? If the answer is yes, then you're on the right path. Keep going, keep improving, and one day you'll look back and realize just how far you've come. There comes a moment in life when you have to decide, will you be a victim or will you be victorious? The problem with the victim mentality is that it robs you of control. It convinces you that life is happening to you, that your circumstances are unfair, that someone else is responsible for your lack of progress. But here's the truth: as long as you see yourself as a victim, you'll never rise above your situation. Winners don't think that way. They don't see setbacks as permanent defeats. They see them as challenges to overcome. They don't waste time blaming, complaining, or waiting for someone else to fix things. They take full responsibility and move forward. I once met a man who told me that his boss was keeping him from succeeding. He said, I can't get ahead because my boss doesn't appreciate me. I asked him, who's paying you, your boss or the marketplace? He hesitated. I said, if you want more, don't just do what your boss expects. Do what the marketplace demands. Become so valuable that no one can ignore you. See, the marketplace doesn't care about excuses. It doesn't care if your upbringing was tough, if your manager is unfair, or if times are hard. It only rewards value. And the more valuable you become, the more doors open for you. That's why personal growth is the foundation of financial success. If you want to earn more, you have to become more. Your income will rarely exceed your level of development. A person making $50,000 a year isn't making that amount because that's all their job is worth. They're making that amount because that's all they are worth to the marketplace. If they want to earn more, they have to develop new skills, expand their mindset, and increase their value. The good news is you can change your value anytime you decide to grow. Years ago, I was broke and frustrated. I thought wealth was about luck or connections, and I had neither. But then I realized money doesn't go to people who need it. It goes to people who deserve it. And how do you deserve more? By becoming more valuable. I started reading books, attending seminars, learning from those who had what I wanted, and slowly everything changed. Imagine a man who has a $500,000 opportunity in front of him, but his skill set and mindset are only at a $50,000 level. Even if you give him that opportunity, he won't be able to hold on to it. He'll mismanage it, make poor decisions, and soon he'll be right back where he started. But if he works on himself, if he develops his skills, his knowledge, and his character, then when that same opportunity comes, he'll be ready to handle it. That's the key. Success isn't about luck, it's about preparation. When you grow, your income grows. When you develop yourself, opportunities find you. So the question is, who are you becoming? What books are you reading? What skills are you mastering? If you're not growing, don't expect your wealth to grow either. But if you commit to lifelong learning, to becoming the best version of yourself, then financial success is no longer a possibility, it's a certainty. There comes a time in life when you have to draw a line in the sand, a moment when you look at your situation, your struggles, your disappointments, and you say, never again. Not because someone else will come and fix it, but because you have made a decision, a firm, unwavering decision, that you will take control and never allow yourself to be in the same place again. If you don't like where you are, if you don't like your financial situation, your relationships, your health, make the decision that you won't tolerate it anymore. Not one more day, not one more excuse. The moment you take full responsibility and say, never again, you put yourself on the path to transformation. Think about it. People who win in life aren't necessarily smarter, luckier, or more talented. They just decided at some point that enough was enough, that they weren't going to settle for less than they were capable of, that they weren't going to live in fear, in debt, in mediocrity. And once you make that kind of decision, the rest is just a matter of time. There was a man I once knew who always struggled financially. Year after year, he told himself the same story. I don't make enough. The economy's bad. My job doesn't pay well. And for years, nothing changed. But one day, he had a different conversation with himself. He said, this will never happen to me again. And from that moment, he started taking action. He read books on financial literacy, learned new skills, sought better opportunities. Within 5 years, he was financially free. What changed? Not the economy, not his job. He changed. He made a decision. Most people wait. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect conditions. But the truth is, the perfect moment never comes. If you keep waiting, you'll be in the same place next year and the year after that. Change happens when you decide that waiting is no longer an option. So here's the question. What are you tolerating in your life right now that you shouldn't be? What situation have you put up with for too long? Today can be the day when you say never again. Today can be the day when everything shifts. But it starts with a decision. The decision to take control, take action, and build a future where you never have to say, I can't afford it again.